the end of the previous part of our lesson, we'd started AutoGen. AutoGen became necessary because some of the system parameters, or SysGen as VMS calls them, were inadequate for the installation of Pi, so we needed to increase some buffer sizes and some system resources to accommodate the PINet node. We elected to let VMS install kit automatically run AutoGen. So as part of doing this, it edited a system file called modparams.dat and then continued to run the AutoGen utility to calculate new system parameters. At the end of running AutoGen, we get a message that says here there's a log we should take a look at before we proceed. So without checking this log, it may not be safe to reboot your computer. And then I get an error, insufficient. Ooh, I don't know what that is. That may be bad. I thought I was logged in as a system manager. And then our VMS install kit fails. And that was to be expected because we had to run SysGen. Let's take a look at this systall or system-AGen report. So here's this log file from the AutoGen, and we can see here that there's duplicate entries for max buff found, duplicate value for default page file quota found, and as I scroll down through this file, we can also see that this is not based on feedback information. With a new install of PINet, or a new install of Pi on PINet, this is an appropriate message because we are basically changing the status quo, so the history of how the system operated prior to this installation won't help us much with the way the system's going to be operating after PINet gets installed. Virtual page count is one of the parameters that Pi needs to set. This sets the upper limit on virtual memory for a process. Apparently PINet's asking for 50,000 pages of page file here, not page file, virtual memory. So that should be okay. Global pages is a parameter that PINet was trying to set, and the new global pages is not allowed to be less than 62,000, so that should be appropriate. Global sections, Pi's looking for more global sections, so here we can see that 420 is going to be the number we get. Logical name system hash table got increased to 512, and that's what PINet was looking for. There's a logical name process hash table, and this got increased to 512, and that was what Pi was looking for. There's a process quota limit default page file quota, that's a mouthful, and PINet's looking for this to be at least 35,000. Typically this is set to be approximately the same as or slightly less than the virtual page count limit. And max buff was another parameter we were interested in. This has been set to 20,480, and that's what we have to have as a minimum, so that's good stuff. We see that some other parameters here have been set or changed by the system, and this recognizes that there are other applications or other things that may be setting or changing system parameters. Also that AutoGen tries to be I don't want to call it artificially intelligent, but there are some rules-based calculations that execute when AutoGen runs to make sure that as you change one resource, that corresponding other resources that impact or are impacted by that change are updated also. So this looks good so far. I did have a error message about insufficient privileges to write out a file, so I'm a little bit concerned about that, so that's something we'll need to check on. Otherwise, it looks like we're ready to try and reboot our computer and continue with the installation of PINet.